Okay. Turn it on? Okay, next dinim we're going to learn here. Dinim nobody knows about. It's called the sin of stealing. There's what's called Geneva or Gzela. Now, this is going to be fun. Geneva, the difference between Geneva and Gzela, the Torah says both Leisig Genevu and also Leisig Zel. So Geneva is when a person does it discreetly. In the middle of the night, he goes, nobody should see him. So if he's caught, he has to pay back the principal plus kefil. He has to pay back double. If he's Gzela means he does it in broad daylight, he's not afraid of anybody, so then the din is he only pays back the principal. The Gemara explains why does a Ganav pay double and the Gazlan doesn't. The Gazlan is more bolder than the Ganav. So the answer is very simple. A Ganav is afraid of people, but not afraid of God. He steals, so he's not afraid of Hashem, but he's afraid of people. He does it discreetly. A Gazlan has a personality. He doesn't care about anybody. He doesn't care about people. He doesn't care about Hashem. So that person pays back the principal. A person who's afraid of people, but not afraid of Hashem, because he's doing what Hashem tells him not to do, that's worse.
But that's really the definition of armed robbery.
Armed robbery, the Gemara says, is listed mezuyin Gazlan. Has a din of a Gzela, not, it's anus really, but still has a din of Gzela, not Geneva.
So he pays double?
No. Listed mezuyin doesn't pay. He's a Gazlan, not a Ganav. Okay, now, the sin of stealing is even kol shu. You're not allowed to steal any amount. Even if it's worth a half a cent. What you're stealing, you're not allowed to steal. What's the advantage if you're stealing already, you should steal more than a pruta. Why? Because less than a pruta, there's no obligation to return. The Torah says, about stealing, the Torah says, V'heshiv es ha'gzela asher gazal. You should return the stolen object. There's no din of returning an object if it's not worth a pruta, the lowest currency that exists. Well, today it's like a nickel or a dime, an American currency. So if you steal half a pruta, so stealing you did, because any amount is called stealing. But you don't have a mitzvah to rectify the negativity by doing a positive mitzvah by returning it, because there's no mitzvah of returning on something which is less than a pruta. Which means like this. In halacha there's a lav. There are negative commandments. Then there's what's called lav anitek l'aseh. A lav which is connected to a positive mitzvah. For instance, the Torah says, don't steal, return it. So it's connected to the positive mitzvah. The Torah says, don't leave over meat from the korbanos overnight, and if you do, burn it. So there's what's called lav anitek l'aseh. There's many cases like that in the Gemara of a negative mitzvah connected to a positive mitzvah. So in the mitzvah of Gzela, the mitzvah is, if you stole, you have a mitzvah to rectify it by giving it back. But if it's less than a pruta, you have no mitzvah of giving it back. Meanwhile, you did the Gzela. So in a certain respect, that's worse. What?
Someone says, I'm going to buy this from you for $100. And they pay you the $100, and they say, I'll deliver it to you. And then you get an offer for $200. Can you cancel it?
That's not these dinim. It's a whole different din.
I know, but that's like Misha Parah.
If you paid money, there's a Misha Parah. If you didn't pay money, there's Mechus Ramuna. It's not for that. There's not these dinim. Now, believe it or not, contrary to Jewish belief, it's forbidden to steal from a Jew, or equally biblically forbidden to steal from a non-Jew. It's biblically forbidden to steal from a Jew or a non-Jew. In fact, there's a message in Tanid Ve'Eliyahu, which is questioning where that book came from. But anyway, he says, a guy told the story, he says, that he did a corruption to a guy. He did something in measurements of dates. He messed them up. He wasn't honest to him. And then he took all the money he made from this deal that he tricked the Goyin, cheated the Goyin. He bought oil. And Hashem made that all the oil spilled out. And he lost all his money. And he said, Baruch HaMokim, you see, Hashem doesn't play games. I wasn't allowed to do that to the non-Jew. I was stealing from him. So Hashem got me back another. I thought I was going to make money. Hashem got me back a different way that I'm not going to make money. Now, the interesting thing, am I allowed to, by the way, you're not allowed to steal with the intent of paying back. It's also biblically forbidden. Not only that, it's biblically forbidden to steal for a joke. Let's say, I'm going to give it back. I want to take away something from you. You should go crazy finding it, and then I'm going to give it back to you. That's also forbidden. It's a negative commandment of the Torah. You're actually stealing. The bottom line is right now you stole, you're not allowed to do that. Anytime you do that, it is biblically forbidden. Now, what happens if somebody's life is in danger, and the only way they could do it is by stealing an object from somebody to save their lives? Okay? So the din is, you're allowed to do it. Because Pikuach Nefesh pushes away the Torah. But you have a biblical obligation to give back the money that you took from him. Let's say he had whatever you need, you're bleeding to death and you needed a big bandage, whatever, expensive thing, whatever. So I'm allowed to take it without his permission, but I have an obligation biblically to pay him back for what I did. I had a right to steal it because the Torah says, because Nefesh pushes off Torah. And B'chlal, anytime you save yourself with somebody else's money, you have to pay him the money. Okay, that's that.
I have a question.
What?
In the investment world, is making money that somebody else loses, if you make your money at the cost of somebody else losing money, is that considered stealing or is that fair game?
If people invest money with you, and you...
Not with me. I'm talking about the other side who is pitted against me. And I don't know them, and they don't
So
know
if they do it dishonestly, they're stealing. If somebody invests... One second. If somebody invests money... Relax. If somebody invests money in a business, and the business goes sour, God forbid. Nobody stole anything. You invested money, you lost the money. That's it. That's the way it goes. If somebody was dishonest to you and they made a pyramid scheme or things like that, and they knew they were going to get ripped off at the end, that's biblically stealing. Whether it's a Jew, a non-Jew.
But if they know that they're pitted against me and they could lose money and we all are going into the business.
Yeah, but when you go into that, it's an investment. Nobody's stealing it. You're not taking the money without permission. They're giving you the money to invest. If that's what lose the money, that's what happens. I mean, that's any time you open a business, you invest in money in a business, you can lose it. That's not stealing.
When somebody's gambling and the other party loses, what is that?
That's not stealing al pidin. You're not allowed to do it, but it's called asmachta. It's a partial type of stealing. But only if you do it as your profession, then you become a non-kosher witness.
I think the reason the Rambam says that the person never thinks he's going to do something. So it's,
That's what I said, asmachta. Asmachta means you would never thought that you're going to be really losing the money.
Can't put some.
What?
Can't put a few dollars or coins in a slot machine.
Yeah, because first of all, who's stealing from you? The machine. I mean, you could do it. You're doing it. Nobody's doing anything for you. If somebody goes, there was an ad on the radio about progressive insurance, how to save money. So a guy bought a the machine that rips up the paper, shredding machine. You buy a shredding, they're testing out a new shredding machine. So the guy was putting in $5 bills to see if it works. And then the guy said to him, why don't you do $100 bills already? Yeah, we'll do some more, you know what I mean? So you say, you'll save money with progressive insurance. I mean, it's the way they, whatever. So yeah, if a guy takes his money and puts it into a shredder, so he's a fool. The machine, the shredding machine is not stealing your money. Guy throws up money in the, out the window.
The shredding machine is not getting anything either, but a slot machine is no more empties
Right, but nobody told you to put the money in the machine.
If you win from that machine, it's okay.
If you win money, if you give meiser. We have a rule in this shul, by the way. Whoever goes to Vegas, whatever you lose, you have to give the shul, and whatever you make goes to the shul. So for the shul, it's a win-win situation. For the person, it's a no-win situation. What? Yeah. Anyway, so it says that you're not allowed to steal. And Gezel of Goy, by the way, the Alter Rebbe also brings on this din, is biblically forbidden to steal from a Goy. Okay? And it's a Chil Hashem Bechlal, besides all that. It's a desecration of Hashem's name if you steal from a Goy Now, there's another interesting thing. What happens if you go into somebody's office and you see a pen on the table and you have to write down something? So you take his pen without permission and you write down phone number, whatever, you write something down. So even though Shulchan Aruch says it's not stealing, because the guy doesn't care. I mean, you can assume a guy doesn't care about it, but even Kitzur says, you have to, as far as proper behavior, you shouldn't do it without permission. The guy doesn't care about it. Bottom line is, you're taking something of somebody else's without permission. And when you do it from a community or a government, that's even worse, because then you're stealing from the rabbim. You don't know who particularly you stole from, so then you have an issue with returning the money. So now, well, this more interesting point over here. There's a whole discussion in Poskim. What happens if you hear a Dvar Torah from somebody, okay? And then you repeat it, not in his name. As if you did it by, as if it's your own word. So it's interesting, the Mishnah Pirkei Avos says, Ha'emet b'David b'Shem Amrei mevi ge'ula la'olam. The Mishnah Pirkei Avos says, like that's coming up. V'termel Esther lamelech b'Shem Mordechai. Right, that Bixen and Sarish wanted to kill the king, so Esther told the Tachashverosh in the name of Mordechai. So because of that, it was written in the books, and the whole, as the story unfolded. So now from there, the Mishnah says, Ha'emet b'David b'Shem Amrei mevi ge'ula la'olam. So what happens if you don't, though? You don't say it in the name of the one. So poskim have a whole discussion, is that called stealing or not? So some poskim want to say, it can't be stealing, it's nothing tangible. What did you steal? You have to steal something tangible. Or you have the same shaila, more modern day terms. If I go into your place, you have Wi-Fi, and I steal your Wi-Fi without permission. Now the question, am I stealing something or I'm not stealing anything? You know, if I walk into your house and I breathe your air, I'm not stealing, even though the air belongs to you, but I'm not stealing because there's nothing, I didn't steal anything. So there's a whole discussion, by the way. They write, there's this, Machne Chaim writes, he asks if it is or not, and he says, you are over. Some people say there's not Gezel because there's no stealing when it comes to a voice. In other words, like this, they even bring a proof from a shofar on Rosh Hashanah. What happens if you steal somebody's shofar and you blow shofar? Now normally we know if you take a stolen nalek, you steal a lulav and you steal somebody's tefillin, you're not doing a mitzvah. The question is, what happens if I steal somebody's shofar and I blow shofar? So halachos b'diavad yoyetze. Maybe mitzvah, whatever, there's a bunch of that. But why? Because the voice of the shofar is the sound of the shofar. I stole the shofar, you can't steal the sound. I'm not stealing any... listening to the shofar, I'm hearing a voice that came from a stolen object. So I didn't steal the voice, it's not a stolen thing. What?
What about Gneva Das?
Gneva Das, we didn't even start yet. After first finish with Gneva, yeah.
You see the person that heard the shofar, or the person that heard?
The person that heard. 1 second, nobody's saying Kaddish.